Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. Really quick update today, and I want to talk about the question that I'm sure you've been asked, and I'm sure you've asked this question many times yourself in the past. Hopefully not too many. And man, that question is, how many sets do you got left? Or how many sets do you got left, bro? All right, look, we understand why you're asking how many sets do I have left, because you're waiting to use that piece of equipment. So in the gym atmosphere, for those of you who don't know, when somebody wants to use a squat rack or a bench or any other piece of equipment, a barbell, a dumbbell, they'll ask, how many sets do you have left? Because they want to know how long they have to wait until they can use that equipment. I think it's time for this one to just go away. Quite frankly, I'm tired of it myself, and I don't ask the question. I never ask it. I just assume that if the person's lifting, they probably have a few sets to do, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. But the question I have for you guys that are always asking is, what difference does it make? What difference does it make? If somebody's on a squat rack and they're squatting, or if somebody's on a bench and they're benching, and you ask them how many sets they have left, why don't you warm up while you're waiting? Walk up to them and warm up, or walk up to them and ask them if you can work in and use that piece of equipment with them. Ask them if you can use the piece of equipment with them. But this how many sets you got left thing, why do you need to know how many sets they have? What difference does it make? So whenever somebody asks me that question, I tell them 1,000. I got 1,000 sets left. Or I got 20 sets, 30 sets, 50 sets, because it really doesn't matter. My response usually is, would you like to use the piece of equipment too? Would you like to use the dumbbells too? Are you squatting today? Would you like to squat? Are you benching? You can work in on the bench. So my perspective is, I'll just share the equipment with you, but you don't need to come at me with how many sets do you have left? It's always been a strange question to me. Always been a strange question, because back in the day where I used to lift, no one ever asked the question. It was always, they walked up to you and said, can I work in with you? Can I work in with you? Or they just waited their turn. They just waited their turn. Because the how many sets you got left thing is kind of a passive aggressive way sometimes you guys use to let somebody know you're waiting. Just simply ask them to work in. Just say, hey, can I work in with this piece of equipment? Can I use this piece of equipment? But this, how many sets do you have left? Would you walk up to somebody in a restaurant and say, how much longer are you going to be sitting at that table? No, you'd wait until the table was up, until they left, and you go sit down at the table. But you don't walk up to somebody and ask them, how much longer are you going to be drinking that cup of coffee for? Yeah, this thing needs to stop. You guys, it's typically amateurs that are asking this stuff. It's usually amateur night, the guys that ask this stuff, because the guys that are truly into lifting generally don't ask that question, because they know that they can generally gauge how many sets a person has left by what kind of weight they have on the bar. So if somebody has 135 on the bar and they're doing it really easy, they probably just started. So they probably have 4 or 5 sets left to do at the most. So the thing for you to do, is say, hey, do you mind if I use the bench in between your sets? Can I use the squat rack in between your sets? Can I shoulder press in between your sets? Can I use those dumbbells in between your sets? But how many sets you got left? Nah. Not necessary. Not necessary. Just share the equipment, work in with that person that's using the equipment, and don't come across passive aggressive like an amateur. Just tell them that you need to use the equipment and you'd like to work in with them. Okay? Easy enough? Hope this has been informative. Have a nice day. How many sets you got left?